The Canadian Startup Visa. Some people love it, some people hate it. We're covering the latest Canadian Startup Visa program updates and news today in this video. Why are work permits for startup visa applicants being refused more and more? How can you prepare for this? The first startup visa work permit refusal judicial review has been posted on the federal court's public records online, and it's an interesting case. And more IRCC refusal cases popping up on the federal court dockets for the startup visa program. And of course, we have the latest stats for you on the different nationalities which have applied and been approved over the past few years under the SUV program. Hello, my name is Reza and I work with the Ingwe immigration team helping applicants move to Canada. Whether it's for yourself, your kids, your business, or all of the above, we do make it happen. Let me make this clear, I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, but I work hands-on with our licensed team working on actual immigration applications and communicating with the Canadian Immigration Department both overseas and inside Canada on behalf of our clients on a daily basis. These videos are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on Canadian immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience. And if you're thinking about immigrating, well, at Ingwe we break down the barriers between countries so you can study, work, and invest in the destination of your choice. We're licensed and we help applicants just like yourself and your families. Here are the PR approvals under the Canadian Startup Visa program from 2014 to 2020 per country and nationality. A total of 4,023 applicants were approved for Canadian permanent residency since 2014 to 2020, with 2019 and 20 representing more than 50% of these approvals due to the higher volume of cases that were received during this time. Remember, these are individual applicants and not the total number of groups that applied. Typically, as you know, many groups can be up to 5 persons under the Startup Visa program. So if you divide the entire number of applicants who applied by 3 or 3.5, you can come up with a good estimate of the total number of SUV groups which did apply under this program. The top 10 nationalities for the SUV approved applicants during this time period were Iran with 784 total applicants, Vietnam, China, India, Hong Kong with 245 applicants, Turkey, USA, UK and its overseas territories, Brazil, and tied for 10th place was Russia and Nigeria, each having 71 approved PR cases under the Startup Visa program. Pakistan was in the 11th place until 2020, but is picking up steam and will be in the top 10, taking over Turkey, Ukraine and Russia between 2021 to 2023, which is our estimate. And some interesting observations from these numbers are that Zimbabwe actually had 4 total PR approvals, meaning it was most likely one SUV group which applied and was approved. Venezuela had a total of 3 approvals, Kazakhstan had 49 approved PRs, and Israel had 26 approved PRs under the Startup Visa program. Considering the #1 spot for that time period, it's also interesting to note that over 300 Startup Visa work permits were refused for Iranian nationals in a 5-day span during the month of November 2022 by IRCC. I also mentioned this in our last webinar, which we hosted last month for the Startup Visa program. This brings us to the main point of the work permit refusals, which are becoming a very rampant issue now under the Canadian Startup Visa program. Why are they being refused? And how can you reduce your chances of being refused by IRCC under the Startup Visa work permit program? As we already mentioned, the IRCC is cracking down hard on Startup Visa applicants, and instead of just approving the work permit applicants because they have a PR application in process and have a letter of support, they're now checking to see if the applicants under this program meet the requirements of the C10 LMIA-exempt work permit conditions. They have requested applicants to use the C10 code in the work permit applications instead of the previous A75 code. They are using these same instructions and conditions to refuse the Startup Visa work permits on a mass scale. If you fall under any of these conditions, which we're reviewing now, you will most likely have a very low chance of approval for a work permit under the startup visa program. A. Applying from a high refusal region and not having serious traction and progress on your startup business. Previous refusals for other types of Canadian or US immigration, and again, having not any serious startup business progress. 3. Not having a valid Canadian visitor visa or not being from a visa-exempt country and having no traction or progress on your startup business. On the other hand, if you do have a valid Canadian visa or from a visa-exempt country, you're in good shape and don't need to worry as much about a work permit refusal under the startup visa program. Just make sure you apply correctly. So what is this C10 LMIA-exempt work permit category anyways? It specifically states that the IRCC officers can approve or refuse this type of work permit in situations where the employment activities of the foreign national would create or maintain significant social, cultural, or economic benefits or opportunities for Canadian citizens, people registered as Indians under the Indian Act, or permanent residents of Canada. This C10 category falls under the International Mobility Program, which covers all the major LMI exempt work permits for the IRCC. You can read more about the C10 significant work permit guidelines on the IRCC website, and we're going to include the link on our website within the next week when we're posting this video and this article. You need to know some basics about the C10 work permit for the startup visa cases if you're planning to apply. Whoever is applying for this type of work permit needs to provide proof of previous experience in this role to be able to complete the responsibilities stated on the job offer you issued for yourself under the startup visa program. Although education is not mandatory under the startup visa program, in this work permit category, the officer can use this factor to make a decision on whether your education can have an effect of performing this job correctly in case you don't have experience. The word significant benefit can also include job creation, export business development, development of rural and less developed regions of Canada, advancement of Canadian industries in terms of technology, research, sciences, healthcare or physical and/or mental health of the Canadian society, or increased tolerance, knowledge, or opportunities to come together with other similar cultures. This means that current situation with the startup visa work permits is that you can't just apply because you have a letter of support from an incubator, venture capital, or angel investor and expect to be approved if you're not from a visa-exempt country and don't have a valid Canadian visitor visa. You need to prove to the IRCC officer without a doubt that you're coming over to Canada and will create one of these benefits. And the supporting documents and the proof should be solid. In order to understand how to apply correctly and not be refused by RCC for this category work permit, you need to know how these applications are being refused and why. Here's the wording they use when refusing your startup visa work permits. I'm paraphrasing this refusal case. After assessing these criteria, the officer determined that the applicants were not eligible for C10 LMIA-exempt work permits because they had not provided sufficient evidence of personal renown and expertise in their field. The officer, as a result, was not satisfied that the work sought by the applicants would create or maintain significant benefits or opportunities for Canadians, concluding that the applicants did not qualify for the C10 LMIA-exempt work permits under paragraph subsection 205A of the Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations. You can read about the first federal court startup visa work permit case using this link provided that we will be publishing on our website over the coming week with this video. It's an interesting case. It's about two Kazakhstani nationals who are partners for their startup business and applied for a work permit together using C10 LMIA-exempt work code, and were both refused because of various concerns of the officer based on the C10 requirement, namely language ability, work experience, significant benefit, and purpose of travel. The judge sided with the applicants and granted leave for this case as he believed that the officer was making up their own rules as they went along for this type of application. The judge's comments were correct, but don't expect other IRCC officers not to use the same absurd logic when reviewing your startup visa work permit case. Only few cases make it to federal court and are granted leave. Hence, the IRCC officers know that many applicants will not pursue judicial review in case they are refused. I highly recommend everyone to read this case ruling to understand how absurd and illogical the IRCC officers are in these types of work permit refusals for the startup visa program. I will have more juicy information and updates about the startup visa program in the coming 4 to 8 weeks, and we'll keep our audience updated. We're also hosting a startup webinar again on December 27th, 2022, which will be for applicants who are planning to apply, considering the startup visa program, or investors and co-founders, and applicants already in the IRCC backlog, and agents and other stakeholders in the Canadian startup visa space. Is the startup visa program for you? What do you think about the program? Did you know that the UK, US, Spain, and Portugal, as well as Dubai, all have startup visa programs of their own? Let us know your thoughts on this and other immigration topics on our social media channels. If you're thinking about immigrating through business, investment, skilled immigration, studies, or sponsorship, you're at the right place. I can guarantee you only one point. You will know what to expect, the entire process clearly laid out for you, all the risks identified, and where we can provide you, as our client, 100% support. No surprises, just results. Our team speaks over 8 languages, and we help applicants from over 47 different countries during the immigration process. Click the link below this video and get a free email assessment if you are qualified. And if you already know what you want, your timeline is clear, and you're ready to apply, then you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me or any of my licensed immigration colleagues using the consultation link in the description of this video. And if you have questions, remember, we're here weekly live on our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram every Thursday, 11 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time, where we answer all of your Canadian immigration questions for free on the spot. See you soon, either on our live or one of our webinars. Take care.